feel the tremors, rumors of war upon the surface of my door. And I got no place to call my country. I got no place to call my country anymore. This is the Community Solutions Podcast, ringing in the year 2020 with the most aggressive local political talk that you're going to find this side of the Mississippi. Whatever side you're on, we're probably the most aggressive on that side too. We're pulling no punches. We're taking no prisoners. This is the year.
Is that your New Year's resolution here for 2020, Jay?
Absolutely. I don't make resolutions. I just follow through on promises.
Well, personally, I've never pulled a punch. So that would just be a continuation.
That's right.
Of the resolutions I've had the previous 43 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm just going to continue that one. I'm not going to bother with losing weight or shaving every day or something like that as a New Year's resolution.
Goodness, no.
Yeah, no kidding. I have to look older every day, so I'm going to let the gray hair grow as much as possible. So yes, 2020. Jay, there was a time I swear I didn't think I'd make it to 2020.
Yeah,
I mean, 2020 seemed like it was a million years away.
Yeah, it did.
And like we've talked about, the time flies the older you get, which is really scary. I mean, I don't think I've had a midlife crisis yet. Even though I think I'm past the middle of my life.
I hope not.
Well,
you're still a young buck.
I hope not too. I'm younger than you, so.
It's not saying much.
Yeah, I mean, we're a good, 28 years apart here, but I mean, here's the thing.
Whatever. Maybe in dog years.
Not even in that, I don't think. Here's the thing.
That's true.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, 22, think back to this, Jay. I mean, think back to like when you were in college or something like that. Yeah, I always think, for some reason, I always think back to the 80s and 90s. They're just, I always go back to the 80s when I was a kid and the 90s when I was a teenager and a young adult.
Right.
Did 2020 seem like watching the Jetsons?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. We're going to be in flying saucers and time travel and I don't know what else.
Yeah, you watch Back to the Future, Back to the Future Part 2, and it talks about what the year 2015. It's like, that was 5 years ago.
Right.
Right. You just can't watch it.
I remember when we hit 2015, and there was the big, everybody remember what the DeLorean said back in that movie and all the stuff they said that was going to go on. Well, some of it came true.
Absolutely.
And some of it
you got to give them credit. They knew what they were talking about.
Absolutely.
Even Biff knew what he was talking about a little bit.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, make like a tree and get out of here. What a great movie. There's another one. We've talked about movie sequels that we don't like. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I admit Back to the Future Part 1 as a kid. Now, I was a Family Ties fan, so I was a fan of Michael Fox, and I was a fan of why is his name escaped? Doc. Christopher Lloyd.
Yes, Christopher Lloyd.
That movie stands out just to me as one of the 80s classics.
Yes.
Okay. I could deal without parts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but it's one of the movies that you had to have a sequel because of how the first one ended.
Right.
So you had to have another one.
I didn't hate the second one. I kind of like that. The third one...
I thought going back to the 1880s, that's a cool time in American history.
Absolutely.
The second one,
Yeah. It's definitely no Rocky 2.
No, it is not.
It's definitely not a Karate Kid 2.
No. 3 sucked. Yes. I liked 2.
2 was amazing.
You can't have the guy who played Daniel LaRusso. I can't think of his name.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, you can't have him 31 and still in high school.
No.
I mean, nobody was fooled by that. So, hey, hats off to him. He was a great actor. I ain't saying anything bad about him. I'm just saying, there comes a time where I know the 80s thing, the chic thing, was to get a 25-year-old to play 18-year-old.
Right.
Whether that was Matthew Broderick or Judd Nelson or whoever.
Right.
But by the third one, there's no way all that could have happened in 6 months. Okay, so, Anyhow, Jay, I'll tell you what, 2020 is here, and I just hate stupid people. And the city of St. Paul, okay, now I know we don't talk about Minneapolis and St. Paul that much, but TwinCities.com has got a story about a new office being headed up in St. Paul.
Yeah.
talking about renters' rights, worker co-ops, I don't even know what that means, and college savings accounts for kids. I thought we had those already.
Yeah.
In St. Paul. A new office is leading that and much more. What is a worker co-op? Is that where an employee owns?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
part of a business, so it's every business is going to become the Packers.
I don't think that's it, but I don't think that the workers own. I think the people who
the shareholders, but
yeah, the people who live in Green Bay own the shares, not the
what if they move?
Players. I guess they still own them.
Okay, well, the new office is staffed with 4 new employees with this ambitious agenda.
At the leisure of the St. Paul taxpayer.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I'm sure these people ain't pulling down 25-6 either.
I'm sure not. Plus, you've got all the benefits and the retirement account.
This is listen to this. They're going to roll out $50 college saving accounts for every child born in the city as of January 1st got $50.
Wow, that will buy a book.
No, here's the thing. And this is typical of what these left-wingers like to do. Instead of solving the problem, instead of attacking why college costs so much, why it's gone up so much, why people can't pay it, why it's so crazy, we're just going to give some free money to somebody.
Right.
$50, like you said. $50 wouldn't tie my shoes.
No.
Okay.
I think $50 would have bought one of my books when I was in college. Now I don't know what they cost.
Yeah, putting gas in the car is 3 times as expensive to go. I mean, talk about a feel-good
$50 you're going to school.
I want to. Here's the people head. Now you tell me.
Here's a shiny nickel. Thanks, Grandpa.
Here's the people heading up this department.
Yes.
Here's this. Listen to this group. Okay. First person, Munir Karacher Ramos. I'm sure I'm butchering that. But
yeah,
this is the former director of the St. Paul Promise neighborhood. Holds an advanced degree, not a degree. An advanced degree in sociology from the University of Chicago and teaches a social justice class. A social justice class.
A social justice class. 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, second in line.
You're Karcher Ramos.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
That's
Kristen Birch, a fair housing coordinator.
Goodness.
Listen to her degree. A degree in culturally inclusive approaches to economic advisory and leadership.
Advocacy.
What did I say?
Advisory.
Right.
Yeah.
Advocacy and leadership. Now, Jay, I know I haven't been in college for 21 years.
Yeah.
But what in the hell is that?
You might need a degree just to get through that job title or that major title. That's a long one. That's
culturally
very
inclusive.
Specific. Very specific. Well, yeah. All cultures, being able to advocate for all cultures in economics.
Again, I'll translate that.
Yeah.
White people are the devil. White people are screwing you. We need to get rid of them. That's their old degree.
Yeah.
The former director of Zoom, Zion Originated Outreach Ministry.
Okay.
Who else we got in this? Iraham Kaliso.
Ikram Kaliso, yeah.
A graduate of St. Catherine's University School of Public Health and Social Work.
A lot of social workers.
Yeah, and this is a guy who comes from the mayor's office.
Huh.
Finally, we have Katrina Mendoza, Outreach and Engagement Coordinator. Must plan all those non-holiday gatherings or something. Mendoza was recently a health, education, and outreach supervisor with Westside Community Health Services. How do these people get these jobs? I want to know something. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Who makes up this stuff? Who the hell is the West Side Community Health Service, and what do they need an education outreach supervisor for?
I don't know. Sounds like something that came out of the book The Outsiders.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I don't know about
over on the west side. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna cut you.
Yeah, West Side Story.
Yeah. It is just, it's community organizers, it's social workers, it's people who have titles and teach a college class.
Well, it's people who are going to advocate taking from one group and giving to another. I mean, the whole cycle of dependency, the whole thing that has not worked for the last 80 years, and we're just doing more and more and more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their goals about housing access. I mean, they talk about housing like it's the right to fresh air. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, how do you make it so? I mean, first off, here's a city council that jacks up property taxes 20%,
right,
and then complains about the cost of housing.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
I mean, which is it?
You can't have it both ways. But, I mean, and this is what they're saying, is that St. Paul has evolved from a city where homeowners were in the majority to a city of renters. Well, okay, New Hope Junior or Senior maybe. But
who controls the rental licenses?
Exactly.
I mean, they've let that happen.
Yes, exactly. They are the ones who have allowed the rental licenses to be in the numbers of being in the majority, and then they're complaining that
when somebody doesn't pay their rent, it's the landlord's fault.
While renters come from all economic backgrounds, are disproportionately people of color and low income.
Okay.
So this makes tenant protections a race, equity, and economic justice imperative. So all of a sudden, because you've turned the city from homeowners into renters, you've driven the homeowners out of the city with your crappy policies, and all the renters have come in and you've issued the rental licenses, all of a sudden St. Paul is overwhelmingly people who are low income and people of color, which automatically then puts it under your jurisdiction to manage this because you have the final say and the wisdom to manage.
Ultimately, a renter's agreement is a private contract. What are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to go in and void every contract? Somebody can't pay their rent, or can they live there for free? I mean, what's the? I don't understand what. I mean, to me, that's where we're headed.
That's what they're saying. It's an economic justice imperative. The city is going to take this on as their baby, and they're going to make sure that there's equitable housing for all.
Right, free housing for some.
Free housing for some is what that means. Yes.
All right, I don't want to read any more of this. Look, I just wanted to have fun with their degrees and their just this whole initiative. Again, it falls under this city. Jay, you look like you're reading that and you're going to say some more.
Well, yeah, and this is important, and I know other cities are looking at this. Minneapolis already has. I believe St. Louis Park already has. I believe Golden Valley already has.
Yeah, if it's a dumb idea, New Hope, St. Louis Park, and Golden Valley will be all over.
Well, I think in Minneapolis it has already been passed. Where
there's a Tenant Protections Act or something.
Yeah, limits tenant screening practices by landlords with regard to credit scores, criminal history, and past evictions. I'm sorry, if I'm going to have somebody with a criminal history moving into my property that I own, I want to know about it. I want to know if somebody's more likely to run it as a drug house. I want to know if somebody is going to be more likely to deface my property. I want to know more likely, has this person skipped out on their rental license or their rental agreements before? As someone who owns the property, I have that right.
Yeah. You think?
You would think so.
Well, again, I mean, there is an argument to be made, I suppose, for, basic fairness. But I also think that you ought to know as a citizen that when you go somewhere that there's no felons in the building.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let them into your house, would you?
No.
So why do you want to live? I mean, think about it. Think about if like you knew that the person down the street was, involved in something, There's law enforcement angle of it, and there's the, hey, I can get the hell out of here.
Do you think it's a hypothetical? I know personally of an unnamed, I'll leave it unnamed, apartment complex in New Hope where a guy got kicked out for making threats and keeping a list of people he was going to avenge. And he got arrested, taken away, and he came back when he was done with his little stint. And
stint in the pokey, or
stint in the pokey, and he moved right back in, having had a list of people he was going to go after, and there's nothing that the leasing or the management company can do about it. Well, people have been leaving the place, and
the management turns over.
Well, no, the management's not turning over, and they're not doing anything about it. But they're losing tenants because they feel the need to keep a guy around that was threatening the tenants.
Well, like you said, I mean, this will spread like wildfire to the cities around. That we all know who they are. We've harped on them enough. So if you live in those cities, and by the way, how about the property owners who live next door?
Yeah,
or across the street, or the businesses there. So
absolutely.
And look, this is going to sound like I'm being contradictory here. I do believe in second chances for people.
Absolutely.
But the idea that you can't, I mean, you can make a judgment, Jay.
Right.
If you boosted a car when you were 19 and you're now 40, and you applied for, you can actually move to have that expunged, by the way, at that point, and you're applying for housing, I'm entitled to make a judgment call saying, okay, I know about it, but this guy has paid his rent, makes his car payment, and I'm going to let him in anyway.
Right.
They should be entitled to do that.
Yeah, and you should not be entitled to keep somebody out because of the color of their skin. You should be able to keep somebody out because of a criminal record or things like that.
Yeah, and I'd like to know, St. Paul, when you hire people, do you run criminal background checks?
Probably.
I'd like to know that.
They do, but they only accept the ones who have one.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, that would be just as racist then, right?
Absolutely.
If they do it.
Yeah.
And they probably do.
Drug screening?
Sure.
That's racist.
Exactly. Because
not be doing it,
minorities are more likely to be weeding it up, on Franklin Avenue. So that's stereotype.
Sure.
So
that's a stereotype, isn't it?
You can't do that.
Nope. You better cut it out, St. Paul.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do. Guarantee it. All right. St. Paul, I if I'm not at a Wild game, I hope to never set foot in that city again. Now, Jay, moving on to an issue that we have not really touched that much. I don't really know why. Probably just because there's no good way to bring it up without people jumping all over you one way or the other.
Right.
Even if you're trying to have a rational discussion, it's like the irrationality comes out in this issue maybe more than any other local issue that I know of, other than maybe sanctuary cities. But I mean, this issue here, this refugee settlement, which we've spent 3 years avoiding, not on purpose, but it it's something, when there's news about it, though, we need to bring it to the people we listen to. And
right.
There is news about refugees.
You know what? Before we move on, are you going to guess the title for the artist for the song or no?
Well, what was the title again?
I'm telling you the title.
Well,
that's your job
sing the lyrics again. I'm at 11 and a half right now.
No, you're not at 11.
10 and a half?
10.
10 and
I believe.
10. I got two quarters though.
Oh, my word. I don't think so.
I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, that you're probably avoiding it because I know you don't know it. I feel the tremors, rumors of war upon the surface of my door, and I've got no place to call my country. I got no place to call my country anymore.
Well, I understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
That's got to be a song. That's got to be like a 60s or 70s song. Or 80s or 90s or 2000s, right?
You narrowed it down for me.
I have no idea what it is. I don't have my country anymore. I'm just going to say that's the song title. And again, if there's a word in there that's correct, I get a quarter of a point. We're grading on a curve here. I'm pretending I'm getting a degree.
The only curve is sliding straight down into.
I'm getting a degree in inclusive song titles.
My word!
I'm going to say that that's. Well, let's see. Little Hank Williams Sr. How about
No.
that? No, I have no idea.
Not a country song, and it's not from the 70s. It's only, 2 years old?
Oh, well, I wouldn't know music from 2 years ago.
Maybe 3. John Mark McMillan, No Country.
John Mark McMillan.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have guessed him if you gave me 100,000 guesses.
Probably
Is that
not.
one of your underground guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know that stuff. I mean, to me, underground music is like a garage.
You'd like him. You'd like him. He sounds like 80s stuff.
Really?
You'd like him, yeah.
Okay. I can dig it.
I'll have to play
my
some off
music
air.
knowledge ends in 1989.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to get some John Mellencamp. Okay. Now, what is it?
No Country by John Mark McMillan.
Okay, not John Mellencamp. Okay. So anyhow, so we're going to stick to 10.5 on 145 shows. It's still, I think I'm at 11.5. Did I
Yeah.
get one right recently? Billy Joel or something?
I can't remember the last one you got right. It wasn't that long ago.
Again, we'll round it up to 11.5 now so I'm at like 7.8%, or people in the peanut gallery at home can do the math. Still not pretty good.
No.
Not real good.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, now back to
all right.
what the hell are we talking about now?
Refugees.
Now,
Yes.
it's been an issue up in St. Cloud. It's been an issue out in Worthington. It's been an issue out in Wilmer. Certainly, it's been an issue in Minneapolis. And some news you might not have heard about it, that President Trump issued an executive order following up on the Refugee Act of 1980 to give local communities more authority to say yes or no. Remember, it's yes or no.
Right.
Okay, on whether or not they want to settle refugees.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, local governments are always whining. They're always bitching that they don't have any say.
Yep.
State tells us this. The school district always whines about.
We have to do it. There's mandates.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. So you'd think if I were on a county board, I would embrace this. It's
Yeah.
like wonderful.
We get to make a decision.
Yeah, nobody's going to force the thing down our throat anymore. And, they're supposed to be coordinating with, of course, we know that's not happening, especially under Governor Dayton.
Right.
It was forced on, these communities up, especially in the St. Cloud area.
Yeah.
I mean, when the top name of a child in St. Cloud is Muhammad, you know how much the forced change has gone on there in the past dozen years or so. I mean, the last time I was up there, I didn't recognize it. I mean, and that's not. Take that statement for what it is.
We're not talking bad about it.
No, it's just
culture.
It's a lot of change very fast.
Yeah.
It's not organic change. It's not change that happens over a long period of time, that happens naturally because people get better economic circumstances or something of that nature, or they choose to move somewhere, et cetera, et cetera. It's basically, we're going to drop X amount of people in your community. We aren't giving you a say, and we don't give a damn whether you like it or not. And if you oppose us, you're a racist bastard. I mean, that's pretty much the line given by our idiot governor previously. And the same knucklehead who's the governor now is taking the same approach. That no, we're basically he's defying this, if you will, in trying to get around giving local communities any say.
Yeah.
In whether, I mean, that's how I read his statements. The inn is not closed. I mean, that's Governor Walz's
right
statement that we're not going to. How I mean, of course, he gives the usual welcoming new cultures and fresh perspectives and blah blah blah. Minneapolis is also approved. No surprise there. And our great Attorney General, who's really looking out for us, has joined a lawsuit over the president's executive order. Claiming it undermined. When did Keith Ellison start caring about federal law, by the way?
Well, never, unless it was something that, wasn't progressive. I just want to point out this. Okay, so Governor Tim Walz to Trump on refugees. The inn is not full in Minnesota. I'm sorry, but how insensitive a statement is that? Having just gone through the Christmas holiday, and the whole Christmas story is about there's room in the inn. My inn is full, but Mary and Joseph, you can you can stay in the inn.
Oh, he probably doesn't even know that story.
But here's the thing. I mean, we're talking about bringing in Muslims, and we're talking about bringing in people of other religious faiths, and you're using this line from a Christian story. That's pretty insensitive.
Well, I mean, but people like that use that when it suits them. It's
right.
Like,
that's my point.
It's like tearing down every statue of George Washington and Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, and then invoking them in an impeachment proceedings.
Right.
I mean, well, you don't have any respect for what they say. They're angry white guys who were slaveholders. Now, all of a sudden, they're
the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But that's my whole point in that is obviously I could care less if he uses that phrase, and being a Christian myself, I think that's fantastic. But
I don't think he's converting.
No, but that you want to use a Christian phrase, and when you're talking about people from other faiths, they might be a little up in arms about something like that.
Well, you know what, Jay? One thing I'm never going to be is a chronicle person who's offended.
No, me neither. But these people are constantly offended, and then they do things that like this.
Well, I mean, nothing I'm surprised about.
Right.
How do you say this county?
Candiohi.
Candiohi. Whatever. It's a population of about 20,000 people live in the whole county.
Yes.
3,100 are foreign born. Okay, so that's a large chunk. 20%?
Yeah.
I mean, or wait a minute. 15%?
Sure. I could do the math.
I can't. And they approved of a resolution to accept more.
Okay.
More people. And again, one thing I want to say too is one of the tactics. I mean, I'm known somewhat as an immigration hardliner, and that's fair. I mean, I don't. And one of the issues that I really gets me riled up about it is when we blur the lines between who's an immigrant, who's a refugee, who's an illegal alien, who's applying for asylum, because that's not granted all that often, despite what you hear. Asylum is a legal case somebody has to make. It's usually an exception to something, but everybody wants to put them all in one pot, so to speak. It's like, no, there's a difference between an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, an asylum seeker, a refugee. They're not all the same.
Right.
So one of my frustrations is the whole idea that if you oppose any of that, you oppose one person.
Yeah.
A person with like you talked about, a criminal record. Fights for ISIS.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're just a racist bum and you don't care about blah, 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 blah. I mean, and it's just like, I also think back, there was a time when we accepted immigrants for a reason.
Right.
They had a particular skill, or they had, they were going to contribute something to society here. Was that a racist policy back then? Ellis Island didn't take everybody in.
Oh, no.
You got turned away. Some people got turned away. You had some head lice or something, you got sent back. I don't want that here.
Right.
So, I mean, is anyone who just wants to come here entitled to it?
Well, and they've changed the definition of things too. I mean, everybody's a refugee now. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Everybody's
a refugee.
Everybody's got grandma here, or Aunt Betty, or cousin Muhammad. There's always some reason to come here.
Right.
So yeah, everyone's a poor. But here, let me ask you something.
Can't make it in our country. There's no money.
But
gangs rule the.
And that may be true.
Yeah.
Okay. But let me ask you a question. Why is that what we want to import into our nation? I mean, and I don't say that saying poor people have no right. I'm not saying that.
Right.
They can go through the legal process like everybody else. But why? What is this want to import poverty into our country? Why?
I don't know.
You import people who can't speak the language, can't drive, can't. They're so limited as to what they can. It's not their fault, okay? But what is this desire to just be the melting pot of everyone?
Right.
And we don't give people time to assimilate. We don't let them assimilate. We create these policies, these settlements create a little Mogadishu or a little. You are creating those by doing this.
Right.
Yeah,
you're not making everybody together. They try to force that with equitable housing.
They try to force the residents there to accept them.
Right.
Not the other way around.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. They try to force people together with things like equitable housing, and we've got to have people from all ethnicities.
And you know what? Let me say something else. You want to come here? Fine. No free stuff.
Yeah. Fine.
I was going to say this. No free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would that do? I mean, it's funny how, give us our tired or poor, you're pathetic, whatever. What do you want to bet if there's nothing for free? Yeah, home's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're so poor too, I mean, like these illegal immigrants, how did they get to Minnesota?
Oh,
they're so poor.
There are.
No, I know you know about this.
I do.
It was the old Spanish caravan taking them. So I've always wondered, how do you end up in Minnesota if you don't have any money? I can't afford to go take a bus trip to Mexico.
There are people and special interest groups that fund that. So,
okay, so again, it's not about that then. What's their agenda?
Right.
It could be cheap labor.
Swinging the vote.
Right. I mean, you're not going to vote the way we want. We're going to import people who will.
Right.
So, I'm already worked up. I mean, you worked me up already.
Yeah, I haven't done much, but
anyway, Candy
Ojai.
Oh, okay. The president's executive order, by the way, is 13888. If you want to look it up, 13888 Pizza Hut delivery is really great. Okay, so that's the. And it was just in September, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is relatively new.
Yes, it is.
So the way we understand it from Cuyahoga County is County Administrator Larry Kleindl. Each local state and then local county government has to either give consent or not give consent. If you do not do anything, it's seen as a no.
Okay.
So the board voted 3-2. This is whatever county it is. I don't know. Yeah, out there somewhere. With Commissioners Steve Achman and Raleigh Nissan voting against it. And approving the measure were Harlan Madsen, Roger, I'm going to try that last name, and Corky Berg. I went to high school with somebody named Corky. The two who voted no wanted to delay the vote till December 17th, saying they didn't have enough information, not necessarily coming out against it, blah, blah, blah. But everybody is whining on this council about the whole fact that they get to decide yes or no.
Yeah. Don't make us decide.
Yeah, they want to be led by the nose.
Yeah.
Only 18,000 refugees. Where are these people coming from, by the way? Refugees from where?
Well, it says like a lot of these, some of them came from East Africa. Some came from Burma.
Okay. What's going on over there?
Well, Burma's terrible.
Well, I know it's terrible, but what's going on that wasn't terrible last year?
Well, I don't know that it's changed.
Here's an idea from the United States. How about we fix that?
Yeah.
I bet we're giving them aid.
I'm sure we are.
I bet the UN is propping up, general
Well, it's not just the UN. Our State Department's doing the same thing.
Our State Department does nothing but prop up dictatorships.
And that's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, where's the Council on Foreign Relations?
Well, it's not even that. They have what's the name of it? I'm drawing a blank now. It's their program. Obama's administration started it.
Then you know
State
it's
Department, something 2.0. Anyways,
it doesn't matter.
Basically, to prop up. When the leaders won't toe the line, then they send their, people over there to find the rebels that are going to start trouble. Our State Department trains them, and then once they do that,
are we still doing that?
We're still doing that, yeah. And that's part of this whole thing with the Trump impeachment is that Trump finally found this out and what was going on, and that's what went on in Ukraine as well.
Yeah. Of course, we don't hear that if you watch if you watch CNN. Of course, I'm sure they don't talk about that.
Right. Yeah, they don't talk about that at all.
So is that what was going on in Libya?
Civil Society 2.0,
okay.
That's what it's called, yes. Yes, that's what went on in
Benghazi?
Libya. Benghazi. That's what was going on with all of these uprisings, like, the
is that what's
Arab
going on
Spring,
in Hong Kong right now?
Hong Kong. We had stuff in Chile recently.
Yeah.
We had stuff, all of this around the world is our State Department doing that, and there are photos of people from our State Department handing out cookies to these rioters, being out with them in the streets.
Well, then they'll get to do anything if you get cookies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not making this stuff up. You can find out about civil society.
You wacko.
Google it. That's all I'm saying.
You probably think the moon landing wasn't real.
I kind of believe in the moon landing personally, but I know we had a whole.
I'm going to be quiet.
We had a whole podcast
about. Be quiet
that.
on that.
Had a whole podcast about that already.
Here's another question. Once a refugee, I did not know this about the resettlement process.
Yeah.
Once a refugee is accepted to be resettled in the United States, each refugee case is assigned to a nonprofit organization. Well, who the hell is that? Who are these nonprofits? Because they're getting money.
Right.
Is that a church? Is that a 527 group?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
A charity?
Yeah, could be.
And listen, here's something that's happening in St. Cloud. This LSSMN St. Cloud, for example, gets $2,175 for each refugee that it helps. Half the money is in direct assistance for the individual for things like housing, helping them find work. Get this, applying for Social Security.
Yeah.
And visas and enrolling in school. How can you apply for Social Security? You haven't paid anything.
I know.
They get to come here and apply for I'd get turned down.
Absolutely.
Why the hell did they get this?
I'd like to start collecting on my Social Security, please.
It's not just that.
No.
Go through. Wait a minute. Go through any kind of disability. Go through any kind of anything like that through social insurance. Be a citizen and try that.
Yeah.
You can be out of work for 6 months before you get $50. They can apply for Social Security.
Yeah. Dumb.
They do more for these people than they've ever done for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want them to, because they probably suck at it. But it's like, first, I mean, I just very, very angry. The remaining 1,000 is used by LSS, whoever they are, to administer and refugee the resettlement service program. So they pocket it.
Yeah.
They get to take our money and pocket. So,
right.
So again, who are these groups? Who are these side groups? 18,000 are coming here. Take 18,000 times 2175. It's a little bit of dough.
Yeah.
So I mean, where's this? Where I want to see an accounting of where this is going. It's my money. Okay.
Right.
So I'm entitled to see this. And there are state programs that refugees get cash assistance for 8 months.
Wow.
And they're able to apply for any other services, just like anyone else's. So what's that? That's welfare,
Food
stamps, which is part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, public housing. Like, I'm sure they all are living in public housing. Well, obviously they are. They're not working when they come over here.
Right.
Not that that's their fault either, but they aren't. They probably don't know English.
Mm-hmm.
And their kids enroll in our schools.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they can apply for Social Security.
Well, we wonder
You know what?
why it's going to be bankrupt.
I believe it too, because the last time I was in a Social Security office, which was not long ago for an undisclosed reason, I swear my wife and I were the only people in there who spoke English. There was interpreters everywhere. I was like, there were a lot of young people. I was like, what are you doing in here?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in them. It's crazy. I don't even want to get into it. I left there just angry as I've ever been. So, I mean,
That's saying something.
well, okay, not that, Okay, when the Yankees got eliminated last year, I got pretty angry. But here's the thing. The point is that county government just got a little bit more important
Yeah.
than that's glossed over. Counties spend more money in this state than the legislature does. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mean, their role in this issue just went up a ton.
Yeah.
Now look for the usual counties: St. Louis, Hennepin, Ramsey, to all be welcoming, and not really care whether you like it or not. And believe me, you'll care if it's your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your school, you'll care then. But if it's in somebody else's backyard, okay, fine. The governor doesn't prop anybody up at the governor's mansion. That's not used for public housing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Not yet.
not yet. Nobody in the legislature will take anybody in.
Right.
We know that. The rest of us will, but they won't.
Yeah.
So what happens now is every county is going to have to take this vote, and if they don't take it, it's considered a no vote. Mm-hmm. So they have to undertake it if they're going to take refugees.
Yeah.
So forget St. Louis, forget Hennepin, forget Ramsey, forget Candy High County. We'll probably forget Blue Earth or something down in Mankato or Rochester. What's Olmsted County?
Olmsted, yeah.
I can see a large number of counties saying no to this.
Yeah.
Everywhere. But isn't that, whether they want to be part of a federal program or not, shouldn't it be their decision? Forget it's the refugee issue.
Yeah.
If they wanted to be part of the federal program on, sleep studies, shouldn't that be their choice to be in it or not?
Yes.
So I'm gonna just guess that this issue is going to get treated much, much different.
There's going to be a lot of pressure.
Pressure from who? I mean, who is
the governor?
Yeah, well, but is the governor going to hold up? I mean, this is a possibility that he could hold them at gunpoint.
We're not going to release LGA to you if
or county aid,
right,
county aid,
right, county aid. If your county doesn't,
he himself can't do that, but in conjunction with the legislature that appropriates funds,
right,
that language can be written.
Which it certainly can be, because we all know that our Senate is pretty worthless, and
that's true,
and the House will go along with them. So
of course, I mean, my guess is that it does happen. I mean, just wait. There's going to be a county that says no. There's going to be.
Yeah.
There's going to be a county. I mean, and every place that says no, every place that says yes is going to get, pummeled with this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we already know they're getting extra money because of all this stuff that they outlined.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Let me ask something else here. I mean, a refugee, when German refugees came here after World War II, were they settled somewhere and given free stuff? And I mean, how did that work?
No, I don't believe they were.
Because, a lot of people who were persecuted ended up eventually. Some ended up in England, and some stayed in their homeland, which is understandable. Would be West Germany then, and some came here. So how did that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, there's no little Berlin anywhere. There's no little Hamburg.
Well, you might call that Wisconsin. But.
Yeah, well, Minnesota's got their share of bohunks too.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
There's no little Frankfurt.
No.
Okay, except in Kentucky. So I mean, there's no.
But there sure are a lot of Stasi here.
Yeah, right. So I mean.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. So how is it that they came here and learned English and became Americans, and everything stays so separate today?
Right. Yeah, well, it was a different day and time.
But you think it'd be easier to assimilate today with technology?
Absolutely.
With vehicles there were vehicles back then, but modes of transportation are so much faster and better. You can work. There's so much more opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not like you go to a town and one sawmill employs 80%. There really isn't like that. And you'd think it'd be easier to do that than ever. It's easier. Access to education is easier.
Yeah. So much more community education.
Yeah, there's more of everything.
Yeah.
So you'd think the opposite would happen. You'd think back then they would stick together more and be. I mean, you had some of that in New York, although those were legal immigrants, not refugees. You had Little Italy and so on and so forth. But I mean, why is it now? It seems like the opposite is happening. I mean, part of it might be that the government's forcing it to happen, but also shouldn't the goal be that these folks aren't all clustered, that they assimilate into the country, that they become American citizens, that they don't get to bring somebody else wants to come over, they go through the process like everybody else does. I mean, what's the end game here?
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I did. I mean, thinking with that part of my brain. I mean, again, we had already mentioned it. It's getting votes. It's having people on the dole.
Why is that good?
I don't know.
Again,
power.
Again, but again, the movement should be the opposite.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, who's paying for their health care? Let them get sick. Who's paying for that?
Well, you and me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, through what? The money comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Is that Medicaid? Is it MNsure? Is it S-chip? Is it?
It would probably be medical assistance.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Minnesota Care once they start making some money.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
Yeah.
So again, what they're on for the public, because I'm going to assume they have no health insurance, have no job.
And it depends. You've got companies in this town like Amazon, and I guess I'm just going to blow our future Amazon advertisements.
That's
but
it's not a tax write-off for Jeff Bezos. So.
No, they make a point of hiring Somalis. They have a lot of Somalis that work for them. They have prayer closets there and everything in their warehouses, and
they're worse than Hennepin County.
They go out of their way to hire Somalis, and I'm sure they hire other ethnicities as well. I know for a fact that they have a lot of them there.
Where are you talking? Were you talking here?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I've seen it out in Egan and some other places that they do have a lot of Somalis that work for them. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying they're able to get jobs. They're able to,
I can tell you another place.
Yeah.
Bus drivers in Metro Transit.
That's true as well.
I mean, every other guy's named Muhammad.
Every other one.
Yeah, or Ali, or Frazier.
I did know. I worked with a guy once named Muhammad that quit to go drive a bus.
Oh, okay.
So that is actually true.
They make it a point.
Yeah.
Because they're the only. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Most. How do I word this? Most recent immigrants with limited English could not pass a Class B license, which is what you need. Metro Transit got an exception to that. They can do. They have their own standards to hand out licenses. They literally hand out licenses. It's nowhere else can this happen.
I did not know that.
Yes, nowhere else can that happen than a Class B. But if you work for Metro Transit, you don't need to go through the training that everybody else does. So look out for those buses.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean my father used to have a Class A.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still does because he's retired, but that license isn't that easy to get. I mean, there's a lot of work involved. That's a special skill.
Yeah.
And but a Class B one for Metro Transit is not hard to obtain. So I don't know how much training goes into that. I'm sure they'll say it's extensive and blah 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 blah. But I have spoken to some of these folks, and their English is so limited that I don't. And you know what? It's not their fault because they're being put in a position that's hard for them to succeed. But their skill set is not. I wouldn't hire them to do it.
Yeah.
If you can barely speak English, how are you going to? You got to communicate with people. You got to know your stops. You got to know the times. You got to know. And so I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. But I can tell you that the Somalis are all over the bus driving jobs in Metro Transit. So.
Yeah. And again, that's great. They come, they find jobs, that.
Well, but it's also jobs that people who are already here don't have the opportunity to now. So how great it is iffy. I mean, and again, it's up to you to get off your butt and go get a job.
Yeah.
But they're getting all the help and assistance and exceptions made, and you aren't.
Right.
So it's not really a fair marketplace. So,
that's true.
But, I mean, it's I don't know how to put it into adjectives. And you just wonder, at what point is it okay? We have enough. Okay, we can't. If you're a county of 20 or 30,000 people or a city of 5,000 and you drop 500 refugees there, I mean, you've changed everything about your city from cultural to financial to renting versus home ownership, everything about it. I mean, look at Worthington. I mean, Worthington's undergone a complete overhaul in the last 15 or 20 years, and it's all been pushed by outside forces. I don't know why they picked Worthington, but I mean, that's what's gone on out there, and it's a fact. It's not me making it up.
No, that is true. I guess I don't understand it, and these are the same people that complain about urban sprawl. I mean, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, the whole thing, I think that's why they want them all clustered, because it keeps the high density, cram you in.
But the people who own properties move out. I mean, that's just the way it works. So, you're creating urban sprawl. I mean, whether you think you're not or you are, that's what happens. And then the people who do move out are accused of being racist because they're not staying in those communities. It's just a big vicious cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond. I don't even know how to put it. But I mean, the demographics of Worthington from 2000 to 2010, the white population went down 15%.
Wow!
This is in a city of like 11,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a big city. It's big for where it is.
Yeah.
Now there is
Southwest Minnesota there.
Yeah, like the last one down before you get to
I-90.
South Dakota. Yeah. Last before you get to South Dakota.
Pretty much.
And a whole bunch of folks don't end up there by accident. I mean, 20% of the population there is from, quote, other races other than white, Asian, African American, or Native. 20% is other.
Wow.
So on a city of 12,000, 20% is what? 2,500? I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
What county is that out there?
Oh, I don't.
Nobles County.
Nobles County.
Nobles County. And, Worthington is about half the population, I believe, of Nobles County. I mean, it's far and away the biggest city. So, the point is, your counties now have got some more say. Maybe they have the final say.
Yeah. Look
for retaliation from our Attorney General and the governor. But to me, I mean, it's a move. I think it's a good thing. Whoever way you side on this, it's a good thing that the counties have more say than previous.
And that's what I don't understand is the people complaining about this. It's like, if you want it, you can decide to have the refugees. So why are you complaining? You can have them if you want them. Just decide to have them.
Well, we all know why, because the people who want this don't want anything to be able to stop them.
Right.
And there was one article I read about St. Cloud saying the refugees were coming to a white conservative city. And that was, they made the emphasis on,
right,
labeling the people who live there as some sort of evil people.
Right.
And it's just typical of the poor reporting and the bias that's out there and the lack of seeking the truth. I mean, it's so visceral. I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even put an adjective to it. Don't look, and I stress this, do not look for reporting on this from CNN or MSNBC, even Fox, outside of maybe Tucker Carlson and, one or two other people there. You're not going to hear a word about this.
That's true.
You may hear about it in the abstract. You're not going to hear about it from NPR, local newspapers. They're just going to write puff pieces. You are not going to see any hard-hitting analysis anywhere except for a place like this.
That's right.
So, but, again, talk to your county commissioners now. Now you got a reason. Now you got a reason to run. You got a reason to call and complain. You got a reason to open up that line of conversation.
Yep.
And you got to do it. Period. Because this is a big issue. And whatever side you fall on it, you get involved one way or another.
Absolutely. I mean, too much, sitting at home and not being involved. And that's how we get this stuff, is because they think they can sneak one over, and some people might be upset for 30 seconds, but then it'll pass. People forget.
Well, they got lives to live. Yeah. I mean, it's our ignorance is what they pounce on. Now, can we listen to the Simon and Simon theme again?
No.
Oh, dang.
No.
That was fun.
Oh boy. So I don't know if you're hearing about this and it's a possibility that it might happen in your neighborhood or whatever. You want to talk to us, you can do so at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And we'd be more than happy to talk to you, talk to your neighborhood, talk to your city. Just again, this is not a race issue. This is an American law issue. And our immigration laws need such reform, and we have a Congress that refuses to do it. But the nice thing is, the president gave counties a choice. And that's really what it comes down to, is that, you have this choice whether you want to be involved in this or not. We're not going to force it on you. If you decide you want us to put refugees there, amazing.
And they may not come.
They may not come.
You can be open to it. They may not.
That's true.
Put them in your city.
That's true. It could not happen. But either way, it's important that counties have the choice. It's important that cities are able to choose their destiny. It's important that school districts are able to choose what they are supposed to teach and what kind of policies they're supposed to implement. But we have too much interference. So how do we loosen the reins a little bit? We got to have good people like you guys stand up and do something. Get on some advisory commissions. Think about running. 2020 is going to be a big year. 2020 is going to be a huge year. And we need people that are going to stand up and step into office and start changing things at a fundamental level, because we can no longer have this where administration runs our cities, our school districts, our counties, our states, our country. So what do you got to do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Because it's only a matter of time. Either they take over or we hold it off.
Well, I thought Hulkamania was going to run wild on you.
Well, it could. Hulkamania could run wild on you. And yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
brother.
Oh, brother. That said, we're so happy that you're with us here in a brand new year, season 4. This is the season 4 kickoff. We've been doing this for 3 full seasons, Andrew, and now we're kicking off on season 4. That's a good track record for a weekly podcast. Most of them don't even make it 3 episodes. Here we are. We're chugging along toward 150. Yeah. You know,
they don't make it 3 episodes. They run out of things to talk about.
I don't know. Lack of focus, lack of drive. I don't know what it is. But here we are. And we're not going anywhere because there's a whole heck of a lot of work to be done. We need 20,000 of y'all to stand up and march into your cities, counties, and school districts and start having a positive influence. This is the year. It's 2020. Let's do something good. Because we love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.
If I get too caught